Hi everyone, good evening. Hope you all are doing extremely well. And as you all know, today we all are gathered here for an event of blockchain. And for this event, we have Mr. Kiran Datta sir with us. He's a co-founder of Web3Learn.io, which aims to help developer learn blockchain programming. Welcome, sir. Welcome to Squad Growth. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. Good, thanks, How's
Thanks for accepting our invite, sir. And people, if you have any question, just put it in the message section. We will take your questions in the end of the event. Yep. Yes, sir. People have started joining in. I think we can start the event.
Okay, cool. So good evening, everyone. I hope good evening, good afternoon. If you are in a different part of the globe, good morning as well. So thanks, Shaurya, for having me today. So Shaurya introduced. My name is Kiran, and I am the co-founder of Web3Learn.io. We are a blockchain skilling platform, and our mission is to empower and train as many Web3 developers as possible. And we have an audacious mission of training around 1 million developers by 2025. When I mean the 1 million, 1 million really high quality developers. Um, um, Apart from the tech part of the world, we also focus on the non-tech courses within the blockchain space. Um, we have done like a lot of courses around the tokenomics, Web3 gaming. We'll be doing a couple of courses around community management in the coming weeks as well. Security audit course that is actually shaping up again. So those are all like in different non-tech related courses that we are rolling out. So you can check out at web3learn.io. So that's kind of the big background, to set the context. So today, rather than talking about what is the present the state of the blockchain, I think that's a very general concept per se. Shaurya told me most of the audience here are students and you guys are looking to get into a career in Web3. So what I will do is I'll start focusing on talking about how to make a career in Web3, right? Or how to make your first $500, how to make your first $1,000. I think that is the most important part for every one of us. Even at Web3 Learn, our focus is okay. Hey, you're learning, you're skilling, but what next, right? So we help developers actually connect with companies, projects, and encourage them to attempt the hackathons, etc. And all. So I'll go through the modus operandi on how you can actually start building career in Web3 space, to start with, right? I'm not doing any presentation, but like if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat as Shaurya mentioned. I'm happy to take as many questions as possible. So to start with, there are two components within the Web3 space. As I mentioned, there is a tech component and there is a non-tech component. So let me start addressing the tech component first and how to start building your career from the technical perspective. So unfortunately, the blockchain world has a lot of protocols, L1 protocols and L2 protocols. If you are very familiar with blockchain ecosystem, there is so much of noise. Like people talk about different languages, etc. and all, and there are new languages that are also coming up as well, right? So don't get confused and bombarded with all this jargon and all these languages. So if you are a developer who is looking to get into the Web3 space, start learning Solidity to start. Okay, so Solidity is a language where you can actually write smart contracts and deploy on Ethereum virtual machines, EVM machines. And once you learn Solidity, you can actually start coding on Polygon, Avalanche, and any other L1 chains which are EVM compatible, and also the L2 chains. When I mean by L2 chains, there are like a lot of chains like Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync, Starknet. Starknet uses a different programming language, but you can actually code on ZK Sync, which is one of the very famous L2 chain that is actually shaping them. Okay, so most of the developers or most of the folks do ask us, okay, hey, what are the prerequisites for us actually? Can we start learning Solidity right from scratch, or do we need to have a certain prior coding experience? So my answer to most of the developers is, in our cohorts, we have seen two set of developers, to be frank. One set of developers is like, where they had some computer background experience, some coding experience. They have spent some time in the Web2 world, and then they were looking to transition into Web3 world. So they started learning Solidity, etc. and all, and jumped into the Web3 world. Okay. There is other set of developers, who just knows the basic concepts of programming, who did not even work in the Web2 space, and who directly jumped into the Web3 space as well. So uh, the success is equally, proportional between these two buckets, I would say. So if you are very passionate to get started, the first thing that I would say is just get started. Okay. Don't overthink too much. The moment you start putting, lot of thoughts around, okay, do I need to learn Java? Do I need to learn Python? Do I need to learn C++? Because if you go to Twitter, if you go to, internet, n number of influencers will say n number of stuff. Okay. And by the way, nothing against these influencers, right? These are the guys who never actually coded in their life. Okay. So don't even, go and listen to what these guys say. There are like certain influencers, who actually talk about real stuff. But if you're super passionate to get into the Web3 space, and if you're a developer, if you have basic coding knowledge, if you know how to what is oops concept, like, if you know how to write basic function, if you know how to read a syntax and a function there, just get started. Okay. Don't overthink a lot. Okay. So start with Solidity. As I mentioned, Solidity is a very it is similar to, JavaScript and, C++, and similar to Python. If you have, the programming experience in these, you are at a very good shape. But even if that is not the case, don't sweat. Get started. Okay. Now, most of the folks ask us, and like, again, one more thing that what we have observed in the space is around 80% of the work, in the Web3 technical development is related to front-end development. Okay. So when I mean the front-end development, whether it is, React.js, Node.js is backend, React.js or any other, front-end technologies, that you need to associate and then connect the contract to the home page, right? So 20% is all about writing the smart contract, and 80% is the front-end development. So the second category is if you are already aware of these technologies, and if you know the front-end development in and out, I would say you are a 80% blockchain developer. Okay. Because the skills are directly transferable. Whatever skills that you have are directly transferable to Web3 world. You need not unlearn or relearn anything. It is just that you need to learn how to write a Solidity smart contract, how to fetch that smart contract on the home page, designing nice UI UX. That's it. Okay. Most of your job is done. So if you're a front-end developer, to be frank, it's a big plus plus. I would highly encourage if you're a front-end developer, just go start learning, Solidity, etc. Okay. The other language that is, picking up a lot is Rust, which is, Solana. But the reason why I did not prescribe Solana Rust to start with is Rust is a little bit complex language to start with. So the reason is I don't want you guys to get bombarded with lot of technicalities and then leave the um, uh, leave the truck or the bandwagon there, right? So that is one of the reason Solidity is the easiest part. Once you learn Solidity, if you have time, have passion, you can start experimenting, learning Rust, etc. Okay. So this is all about like entering and what technology to learn to start with, etc. If you dedicate a decent amount of time with regards to the time frame, I would say if you spend on an average, say 5 to 10 hours a week, you can actually master Solidity, and then you can get into a part-time job, I would say in less than 6 to 8 weeks. it's 6 to 8 weeks, right? I'm not talking about 6 to 8 months. So it's like ideally 1.5 to 2 months, you can master it and you can actually land in a job. But there is a process on how you learn, right? It's not like you sit in a class, listen to theory and theory and theory. It doesn't work that way in the Web3 world. So the how the Web3 world is structured, and the way how you can actually position yourselves and get landed yourself in a job is start learning the concepts. I don't think the complex concepts are that complex. It is very easy. Uh, Start downloading the prefix IDE and then start coding right from day one. Okay, that is how you will start learning. Even if you're not able to understand anything, totally fine. There are like lot of codes out there. There are codes on GitHub. There is Open Zeppelin, where you can actually find the code for different set of standards, whether it is ERC20, 721, 1155, etc. and all. Just copy the code, copy the code onto your remix, and then just start executing. Just see the results, and then understand. Then go through line by line to see what is this function all about. How is this function written, and what is the connection between A and B and C functions, right? How is this the code functioning in an overall perspective, from a 30,000 foot perspective. So once you start doing that, you will actually master it in no time. So in fact, like I have to tell you this, like we have one of the developer. What he did was initially he did not code anything at all. Okay, he just copied the code and he started executed the code like multiple times. I think he executed each code, like if you take ERC20, he executed that code for about 20-25 times, right? And then he went back again and again and again and again to see what is that, like going on in between those lines. So that's how he learned. Okay, so I'm not saying this is the ideal way to learn, but like there are different sorts of learning that you can actually do. It all depends on how you wanted to pick up and how you wanted to learn. It all depends on individual to individual. But so what I'm trying to say there is be pragmatic, be practical, and start coding right from day one. That is the most important thing to be done. Once you start learning the basics, start building the projects. Okay, you have voting contracts, ERC20s, 1155s, 721. There, if you go to internet, people talk about different projects that you can actually build. Start building those projects. The most important part that you need to do is once you start building those projects, on the day one of your learning itself, you need to have two profiles. One is a GitHub profile, which is super mandatory, and then another one is your Twitter profile. Okay, without GitHub, without creating GitHub profile, don't even open your remix ID. Don't even write the first line of the code. The first task that you need to do is create your GitHub profile. Okay, the reason I'll come to that in a bit. So I said like you learn the concepts, start building the projects, and then push these projects onto your GitHub repository, right? When you go for hiring, the hiring manager, or whenever you send the CV for any Web3 company, whether it is a part-time project or an internship or a full-time job, the first thing that they ask you is, where is your GitHub? How many projects have you done? How many commits have you done? Are you being consistent? Are you coding on a consistent basis? So these things are very important. Okay. In Web3 world, please remember, it doesn't matter at all which college do you go to, how much GPA you got. People don't even care about like how much attendance you put in your colleges, etc. Right? So those are least important factors for anyone. The most important part people look into is proof of work. Whether have you executed projects? Can you execute the project? Do you know stuff? Can you write a piece of code without anyone's help, right? So GitHub is very important, and then like once you start learning, keep sharing your notes on Twitter. That is very important. That way, what can happen is the people can the hiring managers will start noticing you about, okay, hey, this guy is sharing interesting stuff. Let me reach out to them, right? So there will be like a lot of inbound requests from folks, to recruit you as well. Once you share, your projects, once you share your um, learning in public, that is very important in the Web3 world. So yeah, steps, learn the concepts, start building projects, GitHub profile. And the second step, which is the most important part, is even before you uh, want to apply for jobs, whether it is a part-time job or an internship or full-time job, start attending hackathons. Okay, so there are like n number of hackathons that are going on. Last week we had Coin D6 Unfold hackathon. There is a Lumos Lab hackathon that is coming up. I think there is ETH India that is coming up in the month of December. And apart from, there are like a lot of online hackathons that actually goes on in the Web3 world. Okay, so even if you don't know anything, again, like that is what I tell my developer base as well. Even if you don't know anything, okay, just start applying for those hackathons, right? Because hackathons are not built by one person, so you will be part of the team. What happens is, so even if you know front-end development, and even if you don't know Solidity, that's fine. That whenever someone is building a team, they need front-end skills. You can come and contribute there. Similarly, if you are an expert in backend, right, or if you're a good UI UX designer, just go ahead and then start applying. So whenever someone is building a project, they need a UI UX. Without UI UX, an app will not function, right? So even if you are not learning Solidity, even if you're not even learning Web3, I would highly encourage, if you have any sort of background, whether a UI UX background or front end, back end, development background, start applying for this hackathon. Attend these hackathons. Attending these hackathons will actually open doors to you in multiple ways. One, you will learn how to work in a team in the first place, because it's all about the team effort. Number two, it will actually open the floor for you to other developer base as well. Excuse me. Apologies on that. So it will actually open the door for you with the other developer base as well. You'll actually make friends with other developers or even your designers there, and you will understand like what are these guys building, what are they up to. So you can actually start. That is how the doors keep opening, right? And it's all about networking at the end of the day. So attempting hackathons is a must. Don't skip it. Don't get into inferiority complex. As I said, even if you don't know anything, just go apply. Even if you're not building a hackathon, right? Just sit and observe. Once you go sit and observe for at least 1 to 2 hackathons, the third hackathon, I'm 100% sure you will go and crack. Okay, so that's how you will learn. Okay, I'll just take a small pause. Might be if you have any questions or your.
Yes, sir, sure.
Any questions so far?
One second, sir. 1 second. Yep, sir. Yep. The first question is, what is the scope of gaming with blockchain, sir?
I'll come to that in a bit. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And another is, sir, I have done my graduation. Is it good for me to start with blockchain?
Absolutely, go for it. Yeah.
Yep. Other questions are similar to this question itself.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're a recent graduate, that's what I told you, right? Just go for it. I think no one is stopping. I think the beauty about the Web3 world is, it's remote. So you can actually work for a New York firm or a San Francisco firm, sitting here in India, and then you get paid in dollars, right? Which other company gives you that opportunity? So imagine if you want to get into a FANG company, or a man company, FS Meta now, you need to get into visa, like you need to like lot of interviews at your hometown. What you need is just a laptop and an internet connection, and you can actually just earn in dollars. So just go for it. I would absolutely say go for it. And the best part is, since you have graduated now, you have like a lot more leverage to take um to spend some time, experiment, and take some risks as well, right? So I wouldn't I wouldn't say like if you have like 15 years of experience, like you can also get into the Web3 world there then. But like the potential chances of you becoming successful is way higher. So experiment is what I would say. Cool. On that note, yeah, as I said, learn the concepts, projects, GitHub, hackathons, and then start applying for jobs. I would say there is always a method on how you can actually start applying for jobs on the Web3 world as well. So couple of hacks there. One, obviously you need to have a very good decent presence on Twitter. Start posting on Twitter. Keep following, keep attending like a lot of Twitter AMA sessions, etc. and all. Contribute stuff and like get noticed. So that's number one. Number two is if you are interested, say if you wanted to work for an NFT project, okay. So pick up like 5 to 10 or 15 NFT projects that you are passionate about, right? You go on internet, you'll find those projects. Now the best way to do is go join their discords. So every community, every project, generally most of the projects do have community calls every week, okay, every week or every fortnight, okay, once in 15 days. So what generally they do talk about is hey, where is the project now, what is the future, where are we heading, what are the new projects that we wanted to bring in into our ecosystem, etc. and all, okay. So you will get an idea about what this company is looking to do in the first place, okay. Then identify those key partners, key decision makers, hang out in the discord and chill around, like and then uh, keep answering questions and keep chatting with people, identify those decision makers, and then just start pinging them directly. Hey, you know what, I'm a blockchain developer. This is my GitHub profile. I have executed, ABC XYZ projects. I heard in the community call that, like, you are looking to start this particular project. I would be more than happy to contribute. What is the best way to contribute? Or you can say, okay, hey, I listened to this idea. I quickly did a small demo of that particular idea, and the code is in my GitHub, would you like to take a look, right? So that is how you can actually start approaching people, in terms of like, if you want to, I'm saying that this is not the only way. There are like multiple ways that you can actually do, but like this is the most fruitful way, in terms of developing relationships with the people, right? Once you develop a relationship, things becomes very easy actually. So that's sort of in a nutshell from the tech world, um, so so that I'll take again one small pause. Shaurya, any other questions from the tech world before we jump into the non-tech space?
Um, Sir, there were questions about projects and how to start with all this, but you have covered all these points. So right now we don't have any question about this tech part.
Sorry about that. Okay. So let's deep dive into the non-tech component, right? So tech is one sort of a component, where you can actually build a career in Web3. We always say that, like, most of the entry into the Web3 world also will going to happen from the non-tech part of the world, right? So what are some of the aspects that you can actually learn and apply in the non-tech component in the Web3 world, right? So one is obviously the UA UX designer. So if you're a good UA UX designer, Web3 needs like a lot of good UA UX designers at this point of time. Okay, so you can actually start directly transferring those skills and think through how you can actually integrate the wallet, like how can you make the life of a user, how can you give the better user experience, to the Web3 customer, right? So that is one area that you can actually directly jump into. There are no specific Web3 UI UX skills that you need to learn. Okay, Web2 UI UX skills are directly transferable there. What you need to think through is, how can you actually apply those skills to the Web3 companies? That's number one. Number two, off late there has been like lot of hype over the last 6 months about community managers, right? So of course it kind of died down because there is a bear market that is going on. But I think with the new projects that will be shaping up, there will be like a lot of scope for the new community managers as well. So how do you effectively build a community around a project, right? So if you're an NFT, if you're working for an NFT project, how can you start building community around an NFT project or a DeFi project? What are some of the best practices? So who are the people that you have to be associated with? How can you start building community, right? I'm talking from the growth perspective, right? So that is one very interesting profile that you can actually explore. So I would say there are no specific skill sets again that you need or go through specific set of courses, etc. and all. What you need is you need an outreach, you need to have a decent communication, you need to have the ability to talk to multiple people there. So that is very, very important skill that you need to have in the community outreach or growth manager there. So the second set of position within the community management is the community manager itself, right? So the community manager is the one who keeps the community happy, runs a couple of initiatives, greets people, make sure the onboarding process is smooth on whether it is on Discord or any other channel, whether it's Telegram, and then ensures that all the answers or queries has been resolved, that are being posed by the community members, etc. and all. Again, for the community manager, you don't require specific set of skills. It's the same. Like you should be able to figure out, and you should be able to keep the community happy, right? You should be able to address like multiple issues that are happening in the community, right? So UI UX and community, those are one, two, non-tech. The third interesting position is dev rails, right? Which is called developer relationships positions. So in the developer relationships, there are again 3 profiles under developer relationships. So primarily, what a developer relationship guy does is, so there are like different protocols and products that are coming up in the blockchain ecosystem, right? So what the role of a developer relationship is, you will be associated with a particular product or a protocol, and you need to go and talk about that particular protocol or the product to the developers, across the globe. Okay, whether it is India, I mean, depending on the geography and the focus for the particular protocol or the product, right? So the way how you do that is, you do run events, for the developers, and you go and actually speak at conferences. There are a couple of developer relationships guys, who literally travel across the globe. Um, so, um, so you, what I'm trying to say, that you go speak at the events, talk to different set of people that okay, hey, this is the product, start building on our product, etc. and all. So that is one set of role that you have in the under developer relationships. The second set of role is if you're too technical and if you're too passionate about the product, you can actually start writing technical documentation and you can actually start creating videos or courses around that particular product. Okay, and then disseminate that knowledge to the developer base. Okay, so that is another set of role that you can that you have under the developer relationships. Okay, now what are the skill sets that you need, especially to become a developer relationship, a guy or a girl there, right? So primarily you need 3 different set of skills. One is, you need to have very good communication skills. Communication skills are very, very important because you should be able to articulate what the product or protocol is to the other person, right? You should be able to translate those complex technical jargon into plain English. So you should be able to talk to that other person in a very simple manner. Okay, so communication is very, very, very important. The second aspect that you need to develop is writing. Okay, so it's not only talking. You should be able to put that, in a nice, in a format that is understandable and readable to anyone, where anyone can pick up and actually, if they go through that particular document, they should be like, oh, okay, hey, there is this product, why this product, what is the use of the product, how to use this product, what are the steps in it, right? I just kind of simplified it, but like, you need to start writing the articles and then you need to start putting content there. So writing skills are very, very important. Okay. Number three is social presence, right? So as I said, like you need to go and talk at conferences, you need to go and talk at events, etc. and all. So if anyone has this passion of becoming an influencer, who's very good at talking on um, events, like if you want to do like, you um, want to speak on YouTube, right? You want to create your own channel, etc. and all. I think the developer relationship is the best fit for you. Okay. So you need to have a social presence. You need to be able to come in front of camera and talk. Okay. You should be able to articulate your ideas very clearly. So those are like three different set of skills that you need. You need to become a developer relationships guy, and the scope in DevRels is humongous. There are new products that are coming, there are new protocols that are coming, so people need more and more developer relationships guys, etc. and all. And with regards to blockchain, we're still at day zero, right? There is so much to go in the space, so much to be achieved in the space. So if you're passionate, like again, as I said, if you are good at writing, if you are good at communication, talking, and if you have decent social media presence, if you can come on to the camera and talk, can talk to other person, then can convert the technical jargon into plain English. This is the role for it. Just go for it. So UI UX, community, DevRel, and then I think since someone asked about gaming, let me touch about gaming. So Web3 gaming is at a very, very initial stage at this point of time. Okay, so there are like multiple things that are going on, especially in the Web3 gaming space. With regards to Web3 gaming, there are two set of roles that you can actually look into primarily. One is being a Web3 gaming developer. If you know Unity, Unreal Engine, if you are already a gaming developer, you can start learning how to integrate the MetaMask, how to create NFTs in a game, and then like how can you leverage the NFTs within the game to actually progress within the game, right? So that is one area that you can actually explore. The second area is you can actually become a Web2 gaming Web2 game player, by yourself. So what I mean by Web2 game player is you can actually start playing Web3 games, and you can actually start earning money. Okay, so it's called whole concept of play to earn, play and earn. Like there's multiple concepts that are coming up. So there are this lot of studios, who are actually helping gamers to uh, purchase. They are purchasing NFTs and they're giving it for free. Indie GG, Yield GG. There are like multiple gaming guilds that have come up. So you can actually leverage those gaming guilds and then you can become a very good gaming player as well. So those are the two roles that you can actually look into. But gaming per se is at a very, very initial stage at this point of time. There is like a lot of scope, lot of improvements that we will see in the next couple of months and years in the space. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll touch upon like one more topic and we'll close and we'll go on to the Q&A. Another interesting area that I'm something very super passionate is tokenomics, right? So it's token plus economics. So the whole concept of tokenomics is all about how do you create a token, right? How many tokens do you need to create? What is the supply? What is the demand? When do you release the tokens? Is it going to be inflationary? Is it going to be deflationary? When do you release the tokens? What is the cliff? What is vesting, etc. and all? So that's a very, very interesting concept, that is actually shaping up in the Web3 world. The tokenomics as a vertical is again at a very, very initial stage. There are like a lot of different models that are actually coming up, but like we have a long way to go. There are two ways to look into tokenomics. One is if you want the basic tokenomics, you can actually start learning, go through white papers of like all these projects and see how the tokenomics have been designed, etc. There are very interesting Discord channels exclusively focused on tokenomics, like there's tokenomics and so you can actually start looking into those. But with the Token Engineering Academy, don't get overwhelmed. They talk about like very complex things like they talk about calculus, differentiation, engineering, physics laws, etc. and all for you in designing the token. It's a very robust subject onto itself. But like you can actually piecemeal that and then can start learning if you want to build a career in this. So this is ideal for someone who is coming from a finance and economics background, who's like very good at and passionate about financial modeling, right? So tokenomics modeling will be a very big theme, very big concept, that will shape up in the near future there. So that's kind of those five, UA, UX, community, DevRel, tokenomics, gaming. So those are like different set of non-tech stuff that you can actually, experiment. Of course, there are like lots. It's not only this why like we can talk about product, project management, etc. and all. But like I think the best interest of the time. So this is like the overall. So yeah, I'll stop here. Would love to take like as many questions as possible, from the audience if you have.
Yep, sir. So we had couple of questions, but yep, we had couple of questions regarding tech and non-tech, but with your event, those questions got cleared. Right now, we have 2 to 3 questions which people want to ask. First is, are there also jobs for product manager in blockchain world?
Yeah, the answer is yes. The product manager role in the blockchain is actually an evolving space. There are jobs, that are actually shaping up. But to be frank, I'll be very candid here. I'm sorry, it might be a little disappointing for you. But compared to Web2 product manager jobs, the number of jobs in Web3 product management are very minimal at this point of time. Okay. So as I said, like blockchain is at a very initial phase. But we will see the scope and role of the product manager in the Web3 world also evolving. But at this point of time, there are jobs, but limited number of jobs compared to Web2 world. That's what I could say. And there aren't any specific skill sets again, right? Though the skills in the Web2 are directly transferable to Web3. It's all about how do you design the best product? How do you give the best output to the customer, right? And best experience to the customer. That's what you need to do. Yeah.
Got it, sir. Got it. Yep. And another question: community managers are the ones who connect people with the company, right? So people are asking this.
Sorry, I didn't get it. Community managers are the one who connect people with the company.
Yep. Actually, people have asked this, like, is this role for the community manager, or community manager means something different?
So within community, so okay, so community manager, for example, let me take with an example, right? So Web3 Learn is a community, right? So now we have developers in our community. So I need a community manager who can actually manage my developers. Okay. When I mean by manage, right? Hey, if you are running specific set of courses, what are the next steps, right? When is the doubt clearing session going to happen? When are the assignments due? What are specific announcements that we are doing, collaborations that we are doing, with regards to the community. So the community manager is the one who keeps people, abreast of all this all the developments which are happening in the community. So that's one role that they do. And the second role is they also, will bring audience to the community, right? So designing like various strategies of like the content, AMA sessions, Twitter sessions, etc., and all that stuff. So that is like another way of actually building the community, role of a community manager there.
Got it, sir. Got it. Sir, we don't have any other question. We had, but you have already covered in your session, so there is no sense of asking that because yep, it is already covered. People are saying thank you very much, sir, for providing huge knowledge to us, and really thank you very much, sir, for providing a lot of career knowledge about blockchain world. It is really helpful.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to close with like one specific closing note. I think I will telling this everywhere I go, and that's what even I tell the developer side. I think this is a transformational technology of our lifetimes, and the opportunities Web3, is bringing to you, onto your table or humongous. Okay, uh, it is actually creating true decentralization. Okay, the reason why I say that is, imagine if you have to interview for a FANG company, right? Unfortunately, there is a ridiculous, process that, okay, hiring manager says, okay, hey, did you go to IIT? Did you go to BITS? Did you go to tier 1 college? Did you go to tier 2 college? Imagine if you've gone to tier 2 or tier 3 college, like there is negligible chance of even for you to get an interview, into a fan company. Forget about getting into the company, right? Going through that stages itself is a very tedious process, right? I'm sure like most of you know how the placement season works in your colleges. Only certain number of companies come and the companies go depending on the name of the college there. So unfortunately that's the Web2 world. But in the Web3 world, the world is actually coming to you. As I said, you can actually work for a New York company, San Francisco company sitting in London, Berlin, or even Singapore. They are ready to recruit. Okay, what you need to do is get out and start working. That's it. Like don't overthink twice. Okay, I would say don't at all overthink twice. Just get into it, right? Like I would say, like, just get into ocean and start swimming. Even if you don't know swim, that's fine. That's fine. I, I will give you a guarantee that you won't drown. I will write it on a bond paper. No, you won't drown at all. Okay, but rather you will learn swimming. Okay, and I can vouch that, like, if you keep swimming, if you keep working hard, right, the other shore that you will reach, is much, much, much more beautiful. It could be Maldives, it could be Fiji, or it could be even your private, island that you might even, get onto, right? So what I'm saying is Web3, is creating a lot of opportunities in a decentralization mode. We know a couple of developers who are sitting in rural parts of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, who are like literally making thousands of dollars every year just learning these skills and then applying those skills and then working for these companies, right? So don't let this god off. Okay, so this is a lifetime opportunity. If like at one point of time, might be I would agree with you. If you start cribbing, okay, hey, I went to this college, that's why this company did not recruit me. I was not able to interview with this particular company. Gone are those days. Okay, like if you come and start cribbing about the same thing in the Web3 world, unfortunately, no one can help you except you, right? So start learning. Get out of your comfort zone, start putting in the hard work, right? You yourself will see a change 3 to 6 months. Imagine, guys, like you making like $1,500, $2,000, and then like just sitting at home. Imagine the happiness in your parents' eyes. It is totally doable, totally possible. I would say just go for it. I think I'll stop here, and thanks a lot, Shaurya, for that opportunity. And if you need any help, feel free to ping me. Like, I am on LinkedIn, Kiran Datta, and then I'm on my Discord as well, like, Web3 Learn Discord. Feel free to ping me anytime. If you want to pick my brain, even for 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes, happy, more than happy to chat, more than happy to add value. But just give your best. Give your best. I would say, yeah, wishing you lots of luck and lots of success. Actually, go for it, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Your advice is really, really helpful. Thank you guys for joining in. See you in the next event. Till then, keep learning, keep enjoying.